Hello, colleagues. I would like to welcome all of you to this introductory session to our group and team coaching mastery certification. And we also very much look forward to discussing how do we design systemic team coaching that co-create meaning and impact. So today I have some of my colleagues joining in to share their insights. And they are leaders, professional coaches, and most importantly, work in organizational development context and working with organizations and individuals from different backgrounds, organizations from different backgrounds as well. So I'm very excited to bring to your attention a bit about what is systemic coaching and how our colleagues here approach systemic coaching within their practice. And at the same time, we also look forward to introducing to you our dual certification paths to the advanced mastery certification in coaching groups and teams. And then the second certification being the organizational development specialist who uses a coaching approach. And also, interestingly, these two certifications also provide you the leeway towards two credentials, both PCC and ACTC credential. So we look forward to sharing this information with you, and thank you very much for joining us for this brief 1 hour conversation. And also feel free to share any insights that you may have, any questions that you have through the chat room so that we can address them. I would also like to make a note. You notice that we are recording this session because some of the colleagues who wanted to attend this session were not able to make it. So they asked us to record and share the recording later with them. So I would like to warmly welcome all of you, those who are joining live today, and also those who are watching this video later. Welcome. And especially those who are watching this video later, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. We are happy to accommodate and answer your inquiry. So today I have three members of the faculty, those who engage in this program both as ICF educators as well as mentors. So I have Kimunya, Susan, and Antanas joining us today, and their presence here is to both share some insights with you from their own group and team coaching practice as well as organizational development work that they do. And because they are faculty, they will also be able to answer and share insights from how we run this program and how it can be a value addition, a truly a value-packed opportunity for you to continue your professional development as an advanced professional coach. And before we hear from my colleagues, I also would like to mention, if you are absolutely new to coaching, if you do not have at least 60 hours of coach specific education or level 1 ICF training, this may not be your starting point, considering that this is a level 2 PCC and ACTC focused training. However, if you're passionate about working with groups and teams and also positioning yourself as a leader in organizational development, we are able to provide you with level 1 education, which is the prerequisite for this program. And then you will be able to continue on to group and team coaching mastery certification. So I believe this provides you with a very brief introduction. And first, three of my colleagues will share their experiences talking about real world group and team coaching, organizational development, and business development. Afterwards, I will introduce to you pragmatically the certifications and the credential paths that are possible with our program. So once again, welcome everyone. And I would like to invite Kimunya. Kimunya has a lot of experience working with organizations and leaders from different cultures, multinational backgrounds. So Kimunya, enlighten us with some of your insights, how you operate as a group and team coach within organizational context. Over to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Fernando. It's an absolute honor and privilege to be able to share some of our insights and also to grow together as coaches, because one of the things that is beautiful about coaching is that we are always learning. So in as much as we are coach trainers or coach facilitators, we are also learning in the process. So we take this opportunity very, very, with a lot of joy, with a lot of gratitude. And we take it very, very seriously that we are able to join with you. So I'll start off by sharing my story, a short story about how I got to the space of team coaching, and I'm going to frame it around it from the client perspective, and then Susan will come and look at it from the coach's perspective, working with the client, and then Antonas will also just wrap it up, giving us an idea of how business team coaching or group coaching also has a place in the business sector. Yeah. So I just want to share with you just a few slides. Please let me know if you can see my screen. Okay. So where did this all begin? It began with a pain point. Back in 2014, I was going through a very difficult season with my then boss. We were both in senior leadership. I was a director. He was my line supervisor. And one of the things that we were struggling with was things to do with some things that touch on my values. And one of those values was integrity. And it got to a space where I had I quit my job, my boss. I did not quit my job because I loved what I was doing, but the environment in which I was working with was not that great. So when I left, I started looking at leadership and became a real student of leadership because I struggled with the nexus of what was discussed in the boardroom versus execution was very different. So I decided, since I've gone through this pain, a lot of my peers or colleagues or upcoming leaders might be willing to go through this journey with me. And therefore, I spent the next year or so trying to develop a leadership development program. What I'm sharing with you was actually the screenshot of that program. 6 modules, 18 lessons, 24 videos, quite elaborate, and I was ready to go to market. But the one thing that I was not very keen on was to listen to what the teams or the leaders in other spaces were doing. And therefore, I built something that looked very robust, but it wasn't received very, very well. And why was this? As I engaged with many leaders, 2 things kept on coming up. And these 2 words were what kept on coming up with any leaders I was talking about. They were talking about the culture, and they're talking about leadership. And when these 2 words started cropping up, I started asking myself, what about leadership and culture is broken in organizations, and how can I step in? How can I support? How can I grow? And that's how my journey towards coaching started. And this was framed around a very simple notion that leadership is actually about actions that inspire trust and energy in teams. But the question then was, in this space that the leader found themselves, what culture was supporting it? What beliefs, behavior, a sense of belonging were these actually available in the spaces that they were working in? And one thing kept on coming up again: trust. To be a trusted leader, you need to imbue a certain set of beliefs, a certain behavior that inspires belonging. That what then it does is that it creates an energy that builds the organization. And as I continued engaging with this, I started with executive coaching, coaching one-on-one, CEOs, senior C-suite, and all. But what I found intrinsically happening across the board was that the leader would go back very energized, very informed, very aware of themselves, but meet a team or a set of people that they're supposed to lead who are wondering, what is this leader smoking? Because they had no clue what their transformation or their transformation journey had been. But here is somebody who's transformed, but the team is not ready for this leader who's transformed. So again, there was a fracture that was happening right there, and a lot of frustration. And therefore, I as a curious person I am, I started going back and asking myself, what is the missing link? And as I was asking this question, it became apparent the level of awareness of the team and the level of the awareness of the leader are very, very far apart. So then the bigger question then became, Kimunya, what do you need to do differently? And that question came into now the interrogation of what group coaching is, what team coaching is. And that took me another journey of about 2 years before I actually enrolled with Ignite. But what happened when I enrolled in this program is that one, it gave me a form. It gave me a form to the function that I was doing. It gave me the confidence to step into spaces where I'm actually working with teams and groups. And then it also gave me the competence to be able to stand in confidence and be able to be part of the transformation that I was really hoping to see in these teams. Because again, at a personal level, I'm on a mission to co-create a world of hope, connection, and excellence. And where leadership and culture are clashing, you cannot expect any excellence to happen. But beyond that, as I was transitioning into the team and group coaching space, I remember the shift happening when I was listening to a podcast by a hotelier. I think his name is Horst Schulze. And he said one thing that was very, very foundational in my shift. And he said, when you're working with organizations or teams or businesses, there is no such thing as B to B. It is always P to P. So it's not, he was saying, your engagement has nothing to do with one business and another business. It's always a person in one business or one organization connecting with another person in another organization. So I went from the space of casting wide to try and get, engage with clients, to narrowing my net to connecting with specific individuals who had influence within the organizations. And was very transformative for me, because what this felt that deep connection. I supported them with finding their clarity. They were convicted to refer me as a team coach within the organization. And there's one organization that we started off a journey with last year. We started off with the Exco. And once we started with the Exco, and I think Susan will talk into this a little bit more. Once we connected with the Exco, and the real issues were identified at Exco level, they were able to invite the next level of leadership to come on board. Now, the interesting thing was the level of trust at the Exco level and the level of trust at the second tier team level were very different. The second tier team level, their trust levels are very high amongst themselves, while in the Exco, it was actually lower amongst themselves. So now that brought in another conversation, because now the Exco are convicted that there's this disparity. We need to sit down and examine ourselves. And I'm happy to say that in a few days, we'll be reconnecting with the Exco again to just now go deeper into the team that is called the Exco. Why is it that trust levels are lower within the Exco? But for this to happen, and Fernando and at the faculty at that time, I really commend you for this, is that you helped us understand the space of other tools that are going to bring objectivity into our team and group coaching processes. So I use there's a tool I use to check on the personal and organizational health. I put that as a in quotes, health check, because everybody understands, when you go to a hospital for a health check, that does not mean you're unwell, but it'll give you the vitals of what needs to be worked on. So this tool has become very fundamental in us having understanding where each person is at a personal level and where the team is and what work needs to be done together. So this is one of the tools that I use. And then the other one I borrow from, again, Patrick Lencioni. And this came in with, I don't have to reinvent the wheel. There are tools out there that I can adapt to my work. And I just use this simple triangle to just look at how does a functional team look like and how does a dysfunctional team look like. Now, the common thread with all the teams and groups I've been working with is at the very basic, what affects everything that they do is trust. And because there's lack of trust, then they try and enforce the results. But because there's no embracing of conflict, there's no durable commitment, accountability, the results at some most often than not will fall apart. So what now the team and group coaching approach has helped us to do is now to go and interrogate each of those steps of that pyramid. And the outcomes have been absolutely phenomenal because where, for example, an organization was trying to force its teams to be more accountable with PIPs and KPIs and all. Once they realize that the trust is not there for the KPIs or PIPs to be addressed, then they'll take a step back and now look at what are the real issues that are actually eating into us. And therefore, that has really helped me to redesign. The 5 slides that you've seen have taken like 2 years to actually crunch down to that level. But what going through the team and group coaching program with Ignite has helped me to do is to be able to synthesize my offering and really be very, very specific and very focused as I'm delivering the same to my clients. Yeah, so I will stop there and invite Susan to just take us through, her side of the story. Susan, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kimunya. And good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everybody. I'm Susan. I am an executive and leadership coach, and I'm based out of Kenya and Uganda, though originally from Malawi. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about how going through the program sort of changed or transformed my team and group coaching offerings. But first of all, let me talk about the program and what I came into it, how I came into it. So I'd been doing a lot of individual coaching and some team coaching. I had a systemic team coaching certificate already, but wanted to get a little more into the what can I call it? The depth, shall I say, of practicing team coaching and group coaching. And the program itself helped me to truly differentiate between team coaching and group coaching. And, sometimes you may think, oh, yeah, I know what the difference is. Of course, I know what the difference is. But the program gives you some grounding, in providing practical examples of what that looks like, as well as the opportunity to practice group coaching in particular, because built into this Ignite program is not only are you sitting in front of your screen and listening to Fernando expound about group and team coaching, but there's the opportunity to actually practice in a psychologically safe environment. And Kimunya talks about trust, and that trust is created when you're in a group of people where you're going through the same experience. So I wanted to talk about that. In addition, the mentoring that you get is a key part of the program as well, and is built into the cost of the program. So in terms of how my coaching has changed, I think in terms of team and group coaching, and then as well bringing in organizational development, is through practicing with 2 specific teams. So one is a team that I am coaching, and another group is a group. And the interesting thing about the group is that, of course, people coming from different organizations, but coming together under an umbrella organization, which is taking them through a leadership program. And one of the things that I've had to find myself doing is being very aware of parallel processes for both the team and even in the group. In the team, you're trying to understand, okay, so what is happening, whatever's happening in the team, the discussions that we're having here, being curious about what is happening within the wider organization. right? So being able to ask some of those questions where you're getting them to stretch beyond what's the here and now to broadening their view to see, is this an issue that obtains throughout the organization? So as Kimwanya talked about trust, the executive team thinking, oh yeah, we all trust each other, so that's great. But being able to interrogate it with the other leaders at a lower level and finding out that actually, no, there isn't that trust. So you as a team coach being aware of those kinds of discussions and those things that you need to think about. And then pushing them to that discomfort. Yeah, we talk about as coaches sometimes about, you tell your clients to say, let's be uncomfortable or be comfortable with the discomfort. So even as a team, pushing them to that point to have those uncomfortable conversations. So pushing them to the edge. And that's one thing that as a team coach, you need to be able to do. Critically, there's the element that Fernando emphasizes quite a bit in the course that I thought was interesting, which is, as a team coach, you need to develop that ability to say, okay, I need to step out of this discussion. Let them continue with the discussion, no matter how uncomfortable it is. Let them challenge each other. Let them provide feedback to each other. And you stand back as an observer and seeing what that is happening. It also happens with group coaching, yeah, where you can stand aside and let them provide feedback to each other and challenge each other, even though the issue may not be the same. But the ability to be able to say a discussion needs to happen here between the group, and let me stand back and see what's happening, because your responsibility and what you want to do is to allow for the collective intelligence in the room to inform and transform each of those members of the group, right? These are some of the changes that have happened to me, perhaps more awareness and things that I'm bringing towards to the table when I engage in team and group coaching. For team coaching in particular, and as this course provides the organizational development specialist designation, is consistently and constantly bringing in the organization. What's happening within the organization? As you talk here as a team, are these things happening in other parts of the system? Who, as a team, who are your stakeholders? And what's happening with those stakeholders? How are you serving all those stakeholders within the organization? So the importance of bringing in the organization to the discussion is important. And we know that as when you're doing individual coaching, you may not refer to the organization as much as you do when you're in a team coaching space. Another thing is to think about when you're doing team coaching is who's going to be your co-coach. Because as a coach, individually, you can't keep track necessarily of everything that's happening in the room. So you may find that there are other people who are not engaging. You may find that the energy levels for other people are going down, or there are other discussions that are happening that you're not seeing. If you have a co-coach, they provide that second set of eyes for you, second set of ears to hear what else is happening and being able to surface those things for you. A key part of both team and group coaching that is, again, emphasized in the course, and I think is truly valuable, is the need for reflective practice. Building your reflective practice, that after each session that you have, you go back and you note down what was happening. If there was an energy dip, was that happening for me? Thinking about what is happening within the team. And importantly for me, because in my offerings, I offer both the team coaching as well as individual coaching. I offer the group coaching as well as some individual coaching, just to ensure that the transformation that's happening within that team or the discussions that are happening in the group are further cemented and dealt with at an individual level. So that the reflective practice allows me to note down what was happening for me, yes, what was happening in the sessions, and how that affects the individual transformation that you hope will happen. So that's a little bit about how I have used the training that I got to transform my offerings for group and team coaching. So I'll pass it on to Antanas now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Kimunia, for sharing your stories. So, I will add my story here. But first of all, I would like to ask everybody, either you are listening now, either you are listening the recording. So try to reflect. Do you believe that building stronger business allows you to create a bigger impact in the world? So I'm a business coach from Lithuania, so that's why maybe I'm adding a little bit business topic here. But then let's figure out like how I see in the coaching industry. Like if we are more craftsmen, if we have a limiting number of hours, and that's what was my story. I was working with the business owners one on one only, and then you have a limit. You can't create the business big enough. At least it was for me. And then the team and group coaching actually was my this next level. So first of all, I created for these business owners my high ticket positioning. So means that I already, after working with them, I'm helping their teams, and I'm helping with the team leadership. So I work with the owner, then I work with the team. And then team coaching actually creates some, long-term partnerships for me. So just finished the program for 9 months engagement with with the big team, and it was a team and individual coaching, and we were three coaches. As Susan say, we were co-coaching. There were co-coaches in the group. So that's quite a good business for the coach, and we can do bigger impact there. So I hope you will review what you are doing and think here and reflect. Can I do more with the team and group coaching? For me, it was really like that. And then I was doing this business owners groups facilitation, but everybody do facilitation. Like a lot of things are happening there. But when you're starting to implement more coaching sessions, group coaching, and you understand what is happening there, then you go more deeper with the subject of the business, where they are. You go more to the who than what to do. So that's as well build it a lot more value for my clients. So maybe that's the story from the business side. I would like to point and think from your side. So this time limit, bigger impact. And then, of course, personal development. So in this program, we are getting PCC and team and group coaching. Means I am as well was going through my, personal mastery as a coach. So, like 2 shots or even 3 shots, group, team, and PCC was really big win for me. So that's why, really want to share that story and and think for you what is your next level, and maybe that's program is that's what can help. So that's what is from my side. Fernanda, maybe I pass word to you to continue.
Wonderful. Thank you, Antanas, Susan, and Kimunia for sharing your experiences and also your wisdom as you are practicing coaches working with organizations already. Really appreciate your practical insights. I also noticed that one of our other faculty members, Kate, is in the call. Kate, would you like to say hi to everyone? I thought I just saw you.
Yes. Hi, everybody. Good morning. I'm early morning. Apologize not to turn on my camera. But very glad to be here. I know we have some potential coaches that potentially interested in the team coaching. It's a great program. Yeah, I will just thank you for giving me the opportunity to introduce myself.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kate. So, Kate, among Kimunya, Antanas, and also Susan, Kate is also one of the faculty members, and we make sure all the faculty members, those who are teaching this program, already have been through program prior, so that they are really very well thoroughly aware of the program practicalities and how to support our future professional coaches. And also, as you noticed, as Kate was speaking, she obtained her ACTC credential. Actually, it's now has been many months. So once again, congratulations, Kate. And we also see that those graduates who are our faculty members now advancing their practice. At the same time, they're also acquiring the credentials, for an example, ACTC in this case. All right. So while I very much appreciate all the sharings of our colleagues, you actually inspired me to share a few more insights with our colleagues here. I want to tell you a little bit of story how this program came to be, and also if you are interested in this program, what would it entail, a bit of nitty-gritty details. So where I would like to begin sharing the story is about 10 years ago, when I was working with organizations very strongly. I noticed that the coaching approach could be also used with groups and teams. And as you know, that 10 years ago, there was no coaching competency framework for team coaching specifically. And ICF also was not actively engaged into team coaching whatsoever. But at the same time, however, I knew that there were few key master certified coaches, MCCs, delivering team coaching in organizations. So I became very curious, and I happened to be so lucky because two of my mentors were already delivering team coaching within organizations. So since there was no structured education or a specific set of competency framework, I asked myself, how can I learn this skill? How can I expand my impact? So since there was no structured learning, I was lucky enough because, as you're aware, I'm a psychotherapist, so I have some background in industrial psychology. So that was helpful, but I did not necessarily know how to combine the industrial psychology concepts and coaching framework, embody them, put them together, and then deliver team coaching. Therefore, I asked my mentors if I could be mentored, supervised by them, at the same time also could work as an apprentice with them so that I can learn from them. And I was so fortunate that they were willing to undertake me as an apprentice. So I did. And as I was going through the program, as I was going through that experience of being an apprentice, supporting them, also being mentored and supervised by them, I started to learn that team coaching is not something that just so very simple, as sometimes we as professional coaches, we mistake. And I think it there's a elevated gap in actual practice of team coaching based on my experiences. I have noticed the reason being, when you look at the 27 competency, the team coaching competency, they are really very well articulated sentences. You would go through it, and at once, if you read through it, as you finish it, you would feel like, I already can do this. It's something that's doable. Yes, it is indeed something doable, but what is important for us to recognize is that there's a huge gap between those beautifully articulated sentences to actual practical application. And I believe all three of our colleagues here, Susan, Antanas, and Kimunya, because they come from a leadership background, because they come from, have experience as leaders, have worked with multinational organizations, this practicality, being able to pragmatically implement it step-by-step process systemically, was what I believe is the value, so that you can, beyond just this beautiful competency, articulate competency, to how do we do that in practical world. So I want to share with you a few areas, maybe if you are at this point of time, if you may have a feeling, I am a coach, maybe you're credentialed ACC, PCC, MCC, and if you have a feeling, I think I should be able to do group and team coaching after reading through the competency or reading a book or getting some knowledge around it. So I'm going to share with you a few insights and see what would be the practical realities if you were to implement this. Because the reason why I do this is to really invite you to recognize that this is not a program that we will just read all the core competency and try to understand it. It goes way beyond. We discuss practicalities, real world practicalities that we have experienced ourselves, especially my journey as an apprentice, challenges I faced. And then when I started delivering team coaching, the challenges I faced. And then most importantly, now continuing on the story, when initially as the team coaching work that I was doing within organizations started to expand, and the organizations were very appreciative of the work that I was doing initially. So about 8 years ago now, I thought, let's create a team coaching program. But because of there was no such technical term as team coaching at the time, um, I shied away from creating directly a team coaching program. So I thought, how do I introduce this competency framework? I thought the best way to do it is to introduce it as a organizational development specialist who uses a coaching approach. So that was truly the initial, very first program that I created. So I created the program since it is a coach specific program, although team and group, the focus was organizational development, team and group coaching. I decided anyway to submit this framework and see whether ICF would accredit it. And guess what? For my surprise, ICF decided to accredit the group and team coaching certification many years ago, even before there were team and team coaching competency from ICF. So obviously, as you're aware, a few years later, ICF introduced formally team coaching competency. So obviously, you would imagine I immediately took the coaching competency that ICF released and then what we had in our syllabus. And for my surprise, when I compared the two, I noticed that ICF team coaching competency framework was quite narrow and limited in comparison to the broader perspective that we were teaching in our classes. So I was relieved. So what we did was we did not reduce the impact, the content, and the depth of our program. Rather, then we reaccredited the program as a level 2 program, and then continue to share. And then another thing that I very often hear, like for an example, in the previous cohort, we had a senior executive with many decades and many decades of leadership experience joining the program. And when she joined, she told me, Fernando, I'm joining this I have a lot of executive leadership experience within organizations. I'm a full-time group and team coach. I'm very busy with what I do, but I want to get the ACTC. So I'm just joining your program. I want the 60-hour certification. So very respectfully, I said, all right, you're very welcome to join. So she did. And then 3 sessions later, she told me, Fernando, I thought that I knew how to do this. But after I went through these 3 classes, I started to recognize that there's a major shift that needs to happen in the work that I do. I am more of a facilitator, educator, and a trainer using a coaching approach, but I'm not a real team coach. Now, this program enables me to find this out. So I very respectfully invited her to continue. And then during the last session, she told me, now this, I don't know whether this is a good news or bad news, but I must let you know or honestly. So she mentioned to me, Fernando, you made my process entirely complicated. Did you make it absolutely impactful, valuable for organizations? You certainly did. I can clearly see the impact I'm making and the extended transformation I'm creating within organizations as I went through this program. However, this program has given me so much that it's going to take me 6-7 months to really dive deep into what I do and then realign everything that I do, because this program gave me so much that I wasn't expecting. I didn't know that existed, right? So just to give you a little bit of context to that, I would like to invite you to think about, do you know clearly the difference between facilitation versus really coaching? Earlier, one of my colleagues mentioned that very often coaches say, I'm coaching, but they end up still doing facilitation and sometimes training and other things. And when you do that, when you call yourself a team coach, you do not necessarily extend the true essence of what team coaching is. When you are able to truly act in the role of the team coach, you will notice that the organization immediately sees the difference. The leaders who are in your team coaching, group coaching sessions, they turn around and go like, this is a very different approach. We never had facilitators, educators, trainers being able to do that. So that's number one. How would you enable that? Then another thing that I would like to share. I also have heard people saying, oh, I can do group coaching. I don't want group coaching, because often people think group coaching is the public coaching, which means a bunch of people come from different backgrounds together, and then they want to develop. This can be maybe something to do with leadership. Maybe different leaders from different organizations come together because they personally want to develop themselves. Or maybe a set of people who come together because they want to have better financial management. Maybe a bunch of people come together, those who work with spirituality, for an example. So very often when we hear the word group, we think of this kind of groups, which we call external groups. But do you know that when you approach organizations, there are really very, very few real teams in organizations. Really, from the actual industry definition, there are very, very few teams that are there. Now, earlier XCOM was mentioned. So we call it executive team. We call it change management team sometimes. We call it policy, policy creation, the team who's responsible for policy for the organization, disciplinary teams. We hear these very often. And would you be surprised if I told you none of this is a real team? Do you know that within an organization, there are so many different variations of groups existing within organizations. And depending on the type of group, we call them, these are organizational groups, internal groups. And these groups, you need to approach each group differently. And do you know that the team coaching approach, we cannot use actual team coaching with actual group within an organization. So therefore, there's a very clear difference between there's a variation of different types of associations within organizations. So being aware of them is absolutely important so that you know how to intervene with each different either working group or the team themselves, right? So that is one thing. Now earlier, I know that you are capable of code-specific communication, but do you know that we spent three classes, meaning 9 hours discussing team code-specific communication. Earlier, one of the examples was given by one of our colleagues, Susan. She mentioned that when you are within the team context, you are not in the center. It's you disappear and enable the team to have a dialogue, team dialogue, for an example. And there's a truly, from one-on-one coaching to team coaching, there's a development curve that needs to happen. In fact, these modules are taught by Antanas, who's right here. And I want to share with you a few more. Do you know that in individual coaching, you learn that you do not use a directive approach. The client is the one who is directing the coaching process. But you know, in team coaching, the coach could use a directive approach. Do you know how to distinguish between coaching approach and directive approach? When you will use the directive approach, how would you use the directive approach? How would you contract the directive approach? Are you aware of these things, for an example? I think this is technical knowledge. This is practical knowledge that sometimes we burn our fingers by working with organizations so that we strengthen the program. So you will not burn your fingers when you work with the organizations, right? So that's another insight I'd like to ask you about. And then another one I would like to say, do you know that when you offer organizational group coaching or organizational team coaching, that there are two contracting stages. There are two stages of service delivery. You need a scoping contract first, and then you deliver the team coaching. You cannot do group or team coaching directly with organizations if it is something tangible, expected. There's an expected outcome from the session. It's not just a little bit of leadership here, just a little bit of management there. When you conduct real world coaching, it really goes beyond just doing coaching. There's a very clear contracting at the beginning, which we call scoping. And then we have actual team coaching, which requires another contract before you begin. And without the scoping contract, you cannot even imagine what team coaching is going to be within an organization. So my question to you is, are you aware how to do that, for an example? And then if you look at objectives of group and team coaching. So ICF, according to ICF definition, it's pretty straightforward. You make the team achieve their goals. But frankly speaking, when you work with teams, it's much more complicated than that. It's not just about achieving goals. The organizations have much larger agenda beyond just the ICF expectations. So I want to share with you at Ignite Global, the program that we deliver focus on three core outcomes, if not objectives, for the coaches, those who deliver the team, group and team coaching. Number one being, of course, the ICF expectation, which is achieving goals, just like in one-on-one coaching. But are you aware that there's another higher layer, which is creating team coaching cohesion, which means when you have delivered the team coaching, by the time you step out of team coaching engagement, expectation from you is to having enabled the team to be able to run their own team coaching without a team coaching training, without a team coach, but as a cohesive unit by themselves. An elevated expectation. And organizations love this because you're not going to be a service provider for the rest of the time of the team. Rather, the team can become their own team coaching unit themselves, and you enable that. And are you aware how to make that possible? And it doesn't end there. There's also another layer. Are you aware that when you deliver team coaching to organizations, organizations very often also ask you about return on investment? I invest this amount because team coaching fees usually is a much larger investment in comparison to individual coaching. Therefore, organizations are keen to learn. So what are my return on what is my return on investment? So are you aware how to convert return on investment into return on expectation in organizational development, coaching-led process, for an example? And therefore, that we notice when we approach team coaching, group and team coaching, it is not as simple as it looks like on the ICF team coaching competency framework. Especially, we also have had, like earlier, two of my colleagues also mentioned that we provide you the opportunity to practice coaching with a group or a team before you step into real world. Do you know that at the beginning, although some of our colleagues who went through this program robustly, even after ending the program, they were not really able to step into the role of the organizational development specialist because the operations can be quite complex. So what we did was we decided to bring in these coaches together and provide them with a team, and then provide them feedback as they go through that journey, so that they become confident to go out there and do that. And in fact, right now there are two units of cohorts who have established their own little team coaching company, and then they are providing services at the moment. Right after the program, they created a little alliance, they created their business, and now they are successfully running team coaching and engaging in multinational organizations around the world. So those are some of the insights I'd like to share with you about the program itself, if you're curious if this is a path that is calling you. So now please allow me to share with you a few pragmatic information which you might be thinking about at the moment. So as we are doing that, I also would like to let you know that please feel free to send your questions initially via, those are some of the insights I'd like to share that is calling you. So now please allow me to share with you thinking about at the moment that please feel free to send. Now, please allow me to share. We are doing that. I have so much questions. Okay. I think there was some kind of a Oh my goodness. All right. Okay, great. Also, colleagues, if you would like to learn more about this program, and since there's a little bit of complications around where you did your level 1 training and what might be your current, what qualifications, experiences that you may have at the moment in terms of moving towards PCC and ACTC credential. And if you would like to gain some a direct, personalized, customized understanding of how this program can guide you towards your further development, you're very welcome to set up a call with us. So I'm sharing I'm sharing the calendar link here. So feel free to set up a individual strategy consultation. Either one of my colleagues, those who are here, or myself will show up to this call, and we will carefully understand where you are right now in your journey, what your needs are, and then we will help you to understand how our program potentially can support you so that you receive an individualized consultation before you commit to this. And this is a complimentary conversation because we would like to enable you make an informed decision. All right, so let's continue on to the little bit of details over here. So I would like to share with you So this is this is one of the most recent batches. We had a graduation in Thailand, and moving on. So this is a dual certification, and this certification path enables you towards 2 credentials. So let's talk about the dual certification first. The dual certification includes professional coaching advanced mastery certification for coaching groups and teams. And when I use the word here advanced, we truly mean it. And when we use the word mastery here, we truly mean it as well, which means that when you go through this program, you learn, you gain both confidence, knowledge, practicality that you can technically, pragmatically, practically implement in the organization. This is a promise. We do not just talk about all the stories or just the competency. We go beyond that and we talk about best practices, mastery, and professional application in an international environment. Now, as you notice, when my colleagues introduce, they come from different parts of the world, in fact, different continents. I am Sri Lankan and I'm based in Thailand. And you will notice the participants who are in our programs are truly global. They come from a global environment, leaders with experience, coaches with seasoned coaches. So when they come together, we also learn from each other. We learn from this multinational, wonderful group of individuals who join the program, as well as our truly multinational faculty members, whom you will see in a minute. Right. So first, we focus on the coaching groups and teams. This is your certification for ICF purpose. Having the group and team coach specific certification for your ACTC credential. That's certification number 1. And as I mentioned, I initially created this program as an organizational development specialist utilizing a coaching approach. So of course, as I mentioned, that this has a much larger scope, and that also positions you as with a certification, ICF accredited certification, it positions you as a leader in organizational development. And when we say organizational development, within the content, what you learn, we truly address how do you go beyond just being a facilitator or a team coach to the organization? How do you approach the entire organizational development? So when we talk about very often, team coaching engagements can be as low as there are few leaders, they're going through a change, so they ask for 3 coaching sessions, 4 coaching sessions. It can be as simple as that. But that's a very limited operations if you come to think of it. If you want to solidify my previous approach, currently I do not do much organizational related work, but I work more as a psychotherapist at the moment and as a coach working with individuals, because that's where my passion is at the moment. But at the same time, however, I remember when I went into organizations 5-6 years ago and proposed to them a robust organizational development proposal in comparison to just a short engagement, they always appreciated. And they tend to be longer. Sometimes some of the projects existed for about 3 years. And then oftentimes that these projects, if you tap into the right organizations, I have delivered some multi-million-dollar projects with organizations, which means that sometimes, so for an example, I have worked with one of the hospitals from in Asia, but one of the most premium hospitals internationally, very popular around the world. They have 50 branches of hospitals around the world. Now, this was a multi-million-dollar project, which means that I had to completely dedicate my time within this project. And then I worked with a set of colleagues, actually 125 colleagues, those who supported me through that entire organizational development project. So you start to recognize, rather than often approaching organizations with smaller projects, when you're able to provide a larger solution to an organization, it secures your financial positioning and your business positioning well, because you are able to engage with an organization in the longer run as an organizational development specialist using a coaching approach rather than a quick solution. So I believe when you have both of these certifications, one supports your credibility as an organizational development specialist for public, and then secondly, group and team coaching mastery certification enables you to go through the ICF process. So therefore, the dual certification. And then, like I mentioned, here is our faculty members that you will be meeting if you join the program. And as you can see, just by looking at just our appearances, you notice that how globally rich the faculty members are, and they all have been through this program, and they are all actively engaging in coaching, organizational context, leadership, and also many different backgrounds. So you will be able to learn from truly a global set of faculty and very rich experiences from different backgrounds. Now let's talk about how this dual certification extends towards the dual credentialing path. So the first is ICF Professional Certified Coach, so the PCC credential. Now, to speak of it technically, when I accredited this program, I purposely accredited this group and team coaching certification as a level 2 program, because then you can use the level 2 hours directly towards your PCC credential. But at the same time, however, because this is a team coaching program, you also could use those 60 hours out of that program directly also towards your ACTC credential. So that way, just by going through this dual certification, which is one single experience, enables you also to go towards both your PCC credential and ACTC credential. So then you might be thinking, Fernando, if this is a team coach specific education program, how do I elevate my ACC level to PCC? If you are an ACC at this point, or you are starting off with 60 hours of coach education, it's very simple and straightforward. How we do that is, I'll get to that in a second. Before that, so you're aware, this certification enables both PCC credential and ACTC credential, advanced certification in team coaching, which is what we mentioned that Kate acquired recently. So that we do also have several faculty members, those who also already possess ACTC credential. So as you continue towards your professional development, they will be more than happy to support you through the credentialing process as well. All right, now let's dive into understanding how do we deliver PCC and ACTC both within this program. So we provide, at Ignite Global, we don't look at ourselves as a certification provider. We rather think about ourselves as a professional development partner. So we truly understand what are your real needs, practical needs, and how can we fulfill them. So here is how we do PCC credential, how we support you through PCC credential. So if you already have ICF level 1 certification, do you know that we can upgrade that? You can bring your 60 hours of education, maybe your ACC credential, and then you receive 65 hours of education from the dual certification. And then you combine this 60 and this 65, put them together as 125 hours certification, and we are able to offer you level 2 certification as well. So we do call it dual certification, not to make it too complicated. But if you really come to think of it, it's a triple certification. You get your level 1 to level 2 certification upgrade with level 2 certification. So if you have done previously a level 1 or ACTH or ACSTH or anything else or non-accredited programs, you will be able to elevate your qualification into a level 2 program, the most recent program. So that's how we start with. And then I'm going to answer the question I asked earlier, which is, how do you develop from level 1, if not ACC level 2, meet the PCC markers and requirements? Now that is where our credential bundle comes in. We have 6 months of ICF mentoring, which is a very thorough, robust program focusing on ICF core competency framework. So although group and team coaching certification itself is not core competency focused program, through our robust mentoring program, you are also able to develop yourself as a PCC, the mastery of core competency, if not individual coaching as well. So you're starting to recognize it's like you are killing several birds with one stone, if you come to think of it. Next one, ICF PCC credential practice exam. So this bundle includes the PCC credentialing practice exam as well. You can practice for a month, unlimited times. And of course, you can also gain coaching experience via our accelerator program if you're looking for more hours. And then also we do the internal assessment for PCC recordings, as we are a level 2, level 3 provider. And of course, we do provide you credentials, comprehensive credential support as you work towards your PCC credential. So I hope it becomes clearer to you now how we approach PCC credential through this certification. And then also, if you look at the ACTC credential, you know that ACTC also has 5 requirements. At least 60 hours of team coach certification, which is this certification. And then you need to have supervision. And then you need to already hold a credential, at least ACC. And then you also need to take an exam, ACTC credential exam. And then you also need to complete 5 supervision hours. Right? So let me just make sure that I said it correctly. The education, 60 hours of education, and you're already holding a credential. You need to receive supervision, 5 hours at least, and you need to complete at least 5 coaching engagements. And then finally, you need to take the ACTC examination with ICF. So you notice this, there are 5 things. So we are able to provide the 60 hours of education from the program so that you can apply for ACTC. We have in-house supervision available, and we have our colleagues also have completed ACTC already, so that they can support you through the process. In fact, there will be a new upcoming webinar that we will be announcing very soon, because another colleague who's also a faculty member, Michelle Ascott, recently completed her ACTC as well about a month ago. So she will be talking about her experiences. If you are pursuing ACTC, feel free to join us. And one more highlight I would like to mention here is we also have a business incubator. What we mean by, earlier it was mentioned, before you go out there into the world, if you would like to gain some experience working within a psychologically safe environment, like my colleagues mentioned, we can provide you a small, either a group or a team, and then we will assign you with a sub-coach or a co-coach, and you will deliver 3 to 6 months of coaching initially within Ignite and gain the experience, confidence, and then also receive some testimonials from that team that we will be providing to you, so that you can directly use them into your practice. You can translate that into your practice. So we also have this, and we also run an Ignite marketing campaign to do this. It's not that we just bring people and just hand over to you. We rather promote you to our network, and then when people decide to engage in the program, we make the connection. So I believe that you're starting to recognize how much value is included within this program. The reason is that for me, my true operations of business is by delivering coaching, psychotherapy, and some of the retreats that I deliver. Coach-specific education for me is truly my passion, because I like working with other practitioners, sharing my experiences, this really beautiful framework that I put a lot of effort in creating. So therefore, we try and keep our programs in such a way all encompassing in one place that you get everything. We do not consider you have to do a stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, make things very complicated, and also having a upselling strategy. We do not have anything like that. We provide everything in one place. We create a lot of value. We have so much resources, about 300 hours of resources in our e-learning platform. So there's really so much that you can continue to learn if you're interested beyond what we discuss in the classes. So I would like to let you know the next class is going to commence. So the cohort is going to, we only offer this once a year. The next cohort is commencing on the 31st of March, and it includes 12 live classes, 3 hours each. Usually it happens at the same time we started this session. So you're aware of the time frame, and also you will be able to gain instant access to video classes and resources the moment you enroll in the program. And then we still have several seats available if you are interested. And one of the key questions probably you're thinking in your mind at the moment, what's the program fees? So the certification, the dual certification fee is 2,650 USD. At the moment, we are providing $100 USD discount when you are introduced through a faculty member. So if you are enrolling in your first email, please make sure to let us know who is introducing you to this program, so that you can avail that discount from that specific faculty member. So please make sure that you let us know who introduced you to the program. And then beyond that, we also would like to offer you a $100 USD early bird discount as well. So altogether, this entire dual certification fee is only 2,450. However, if you want to join the mentoring bundle, the 6 months of mentoring, certification upgrade, there are additional fees, because that's a combined solution, not just only the program. Feel free to reach out. We are happy to share more details with you. So that brings us to the end of this presentation, and I will quickly check if there are questions in the chat room. Okay, so I do not see any questions. If you have anything, you're very welcome to ask them. I'm happy to stay here for a few more minutes and answer anything. If not, feel free to send us a invitation for a strategy call. One of my colleagues or myself, we will meet you, discuss, understand your specific unique needs, and then help you customize and obtain the qualification and also continue to professionally develop. So thank you very much. Is there any question that you would like us to address before we say goodbye today? All right. Okay. So the silence speak louder. Thank you very much, colleagues, faculty members, for joining us today and sharing your insights with our other colleagues who might be interested in this program, and those who aspire to become a group and team coach, organizational development specialist, and then also work towards your PCC and ACTC. We wish you all the very best. If there's any way that we can assist you through that journey, we look forward to being your partner for professional development. With that, I send you my best energy, all the very best. Look forward to keeping in touch. Thank you.
Thank you.
You.
Thank you.